In today's lesson, we're going to talk about the lower half of the body. We're going to talk about what your hips should be doing, some of the misconceptions that we come across, and we're really going to focus on what your left leg should be doing into impact, because it will make all the difference in the world. It'll clean up your lower body and help you hit the ball a whole lot better. So if you're brand new to our channel, just make sure you subscribe, hit the bell button so you see your future videos. If you enjoy our content today, give us a thumbs up. It helps grow our channel. And of course, if you have any questions or you just want to leave us a comment down below, go ahead and do so. So just do a quick run through. We've covered the right leg in past videos. I'm just going to give you a quick overview of that. I'll also put a card of what the video is up above. You can click on that if you want to watch it. But basically, the right leg should turn into the inside near impact. All right, that knee should point toward your lead foot. Your weight should be rolling to the inside of the foot. All right, and it shouldn't be collapsed too much, because then you're going to be on your toe too much. All right, it's going to kind of feel like it's in more of a straight line position. All right, so that's basically what the right leg should be doing. Now we're going to concentrate on what the belt buckle comes to what your belt buckle should be doing. It's a really good kind of outside source that you can concentrate on. One of the big misconceptions comes from the idea of what the belt buckle does. And unfortunately, it usually comes from TV announcers, all right? They say you should get, or basically your friends saying that you should get your belt buckle at the targeted impact. Okay? That is somewhat true. Basically, it will get there when you finish all the way through at impact. It should not be facing the target. Your hips are going to be too open. Most of us are not flexible to do so. If you are flexible to do it and you're out there like that, you're going to flare a lot of stuff to the right, because basically you're going to be way out in front of it. Okay, so when it comes to what your belt buckle should be doing, I want you to think of it this way. All right, if you put a line right in front of your belt buckle, if you tape yourself, when you get to the top and you start coming down, I don't want it to run into the line. So you can see, if it runs into my line, I'm going to be losing posture. All right, this is kind of what it looks like if I get my belt buckle too open at impact. All right, I lose my posture. It feels terrible. It doesn't feel powerful. All right, so I don't want you to think about getting your hips too open at impact. Hips are going to work in kind of a mysterious way, something a little bit different than how most of us think of it. All right, so make sure that belt buckle feels like it stays back of that line. If you've ever watched a TPI video with Dave Phillips, he says, imagine you have a fence right here, or if you have a fence that's that high, you can use that. As you come back and you come down, don't run into the fence line. All right, that's a great visual also. You might be able to build something out of PVC pipe that you can do it that way too. All right, but pay attention to your belt buckle. Don't let it get forward. It's always going to feel like it is moving back away from that golf ball. So we know what the right leg should be doing. We know what the belt buckle, or basically your pelvis, should be doing. Now we're going to talk about the lead leg, because it's super important that we move it correctly. Okay? So I want you to basically stand up straight, and if you hinge over and you kind of turn, it should be turning into basically your joint, your hip socket. Okay, it shouldn't be coming forward, shouldn't be sliding out and going that way. All right, it needs to feel like it is just turning into the hip socket, turning deep. All right, I'll give you a few different angles here. All right, now if you just put your belt or your club across your belt line, or your hips, just put it across the top of your hips. All right, as you come into impact, if it is moving correctly, all right, it's just moving backwards. Okay, and you can see from down the line, if I do it correctly, it's moving backwards. All right, you can see that my right leg does the right stuff. My hips are still open, 35 to 45 degrees, which is plenty at impact. All right, you just have to move into that left hip socket rather than around it or losing posture, anything like that. All right, and if you pay attention a little bit more as I do that, you'll notice that my right leg likes to do naturally what it needs to do. So your right foot will actually stay on the ground a little bit longer, and we won't have any right foot kind of going forward, losing posture moves going on. All right, I'll put a video of Max Homa right next to me. He does a really good job. He keeps his foot down for actually a long time, but he's moving his hips correctly. The number one amateur in the world, I don't know if he still is, he kept it down for an extended long period of time. I don't recommend that. That's going to be a little rough on the back. Okay, but those are two pretty good examples right there. So if you're moving your belt buckle correctly, moving into your left hip correctly, your impact position should be very similar to this. Now you're going to see that my back is a little bit rounded. All right, my back foot's on the ground. My hips have gone deeper into the line because my belt buckle didn't go forward. It started to move backwards. I started to turn into that left hip. Right, and so I stay in my posture. I come into it more powerfully. Now, when you start doing this in the beginning, you're going to feel stuck because it'll feel weird to keep your right foot stays on the ground more and that your hip's not flying forward or doing anything weird. You're going to feel like, I don't know how to finish. All right, stick with it. Just work through it. Eventually, it will become easier. In the beginning, you might feel really low to the ground also because you're used to moving your head up. And so when the hips go deeper and you move into that left socket, your head will move down a little bit. All right, but this is our whole idea of getting into impact. We want that really good, compressed look into impact so we can hit the ball a whole lot better. Now I'm going to give you a drill to help you make sure that you're doing it correct. All right, so for this drill you can use, this is just basically a body roller. You can see it, chairs used in the past. I prefer something that you can just put off your left cheek because that's what we're concentrating on most. All right, it's really hard to lose posture if your left cheek is moving backwards. Even if your right leg looks like it's going forward, you can still stay in posture as long as your left hip and your left cheek and your pelvis is moving backwards. All right, it's very hard to lose posture if your left leg is doing the right things. So I'm gonna put this basically off my left butt cheek. All right, and as I take a swing, you're gonna see, and the thing is actually gonna move backwards, it's gonna fall over. So it's pretty simple. As soon as you see it fall over or you feel it move backwards, you know you've moved into that left hip very nicely. You just stay down with it. Just a quick side note, this is easier to do with irons because we're trying to hit down through it. With the driver, it's a little bit harder. As we all know, it's hard to hit the driver straight. You can still use the same drill with the driver. It's just a little bit harder because everything's a little bit further away from you. We're swinging just a little bit flatter and we're not swinging down at it. All right, that's just a side note. So I hope this helps you. Just remember how your right leg moves, how that belt buckle needs to move, how it needs to feel like it doesn't run into the fence, and that your left hip just needs to move into that hip socket, not up and around it or any weird fashion. All right, you follow those 3 simple steps, kind of break it down a little bit at a time. I guarantee you're going to start hitting that ball further, better,